ॐ गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरा गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। ओम परम सदगुरुदेव के चरण कमलों में प्रणाम करते हुए अध्यात्म देवात्म शक्ति नामक पुस्तक का, जो कि हमारे परंपरा के प्रसिद्ध स्वामी विष्णु तीर्थ महाराज द्वारा लिखित है, का आगे का प्रकरण पर प्रवचन प्रारंभ किया जा रहा है। आज का सब्जेक्ट, today's subject is psychogenesis and spiritual evolution. Before the concluding some elucidation of particle difference between the psychic and spiritual domains of elevation is what seems most opportune. Soul is usually defined as life with the relation to mind and intellect, and spirit as the life principle in the sense of unrelated life essence, or the illuminating life principle that animates both mind and body. Psychogenesis and psychogony, both the terms are therefore used in the domain of purely psychical evolution, signifying development of mental faculties. Commonly, a person with the undeveloped mind possesses no control over it. Such a mind stays and random, aimlessly dissipating its energies to serve no useful purpose. Activities of such persons are more of animal nature than human, selfish, seeking personal satisfaction and gratification of carnal propensities, and of sensuality, lust, anger, and personal aggrandizement at the cost of one's own brother and next door neighbor. Sensualism is the end of the life to such persons. But good education and learning open avenues of literary taste, pleasure of high thinking music and fine arts, and research work in the field of art, science, and mathematics. Then the mind, through assiduous discipline, becomes trained to flow in desired channels. Possessed or right understanding and good reasoning power, it can arrive at correct judgments and can be concentrated to deep thinking. It is an established fact that one finds higher sense of the pleasure in the intellectual pursuits than can be had in sensualism. Spiritual evolutions opens a still higher domain. Mind stuff may be compared with a highly compressible fluid, finer and more subtle than even ether. When concentrated and focused at one point, intrinsically becomes charged with an intensity of power, the stain of which, one being relaxed mind, springs. The readers who possess mental control and have acquired the habit to deep thinking must be aware of the fact that mind works in two ways. In the first case, it grapples with the problems, sticks to it, and flows the details by step in logical sequence and find the conclusion. But in the second case, it gathers all possible data necessary for the inquiry, and instead of the considering them logically step by step as in the previous case, relaxes itself of the obstacle tightness. The study of tightness of mind for the time bring from with the flash of intuitive light, supplying the required knowledge. The second method is more paying and higher worth. It is easier and full of the potentialities, but the steady cultivation of mind in the requisite degree of abstraction is the condition precedent. In other words, the person must first learn how to throw the mind into vacantness and keep it steady there in continued vacant mood for sufficient length of time. In the both these cases, the attent of mind is objective. In both cases, mind tapes the doers of subconsciousness. Intuitive knowledge is supplied by the subconscious mind, which it receives from the inner self, which it receives from the inner self. When the active consciousness is for some time silenced, activity of the subconsciousness mind increases at its work automatically in the mysterious way. When mind is compressed to concentration on relaxation, it tends to abstractedness, but the initial attention governs its motive power and the resultant line of motion. It has been said in the first chapter that mind is a product of prana. In the first manifestation of life, therefore, when mind is concentrated on the subjective side of one's own self, i.e., the spiritual side, by fixing it on one's own abstract consciousness freed from all thoughts. Memories of the past, ideas and emotions, or on God as the all knowing, omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent super consciousness soul of the universes. It acquires an intrinsic impulses which or relaxation gives it an impetus of revert to its cause. As a coiled up spring on the relaxation shoots up with the force in the opposite direction. So a mind when relaxed after the concentration spring up with the force in the direction of its initial attention. Therefore, when mind is directed inward subjectively, it soars up with the impetus gained through the concentration to revert to his cause. Such a mind first becomes abstracted and then gradually begins to go back into prana and in turn tends to merge and become lost into the adhyatm bhav or the static real, producing the trance of the samadhi. Subconscious mind then does not act as a drag because the initial intent of the active consciousness was directed in the reversed direction free from all objectivity. Such mind on the resuming active consciousness comes out charged with the spiritual illumination. Kathopanishad enjoins that the wise should carry speech into mind and mind to unto abstract consciousness. Abstract consciousness, Jnanatma, and that unto Mahan Atma, the universal consciousness, and the last unto the peaceful Atma, the original Adhyatma Bhav. Mahan Atma has already been pointed above as cosmic prana and Jnana Atma as the individualized prana. Speech is the vehicular expression of thoughts, and thoughts are ideas grabbed in words, and intuitive ideas spring up from subconsciousness. Therefore, in carrying the speech back to mind, all ideation and thought formation must cease when mind has gone to that length of abstractedness, but is still meditative on its own abstract consciousness. It evolves out superconsciousness, becomes the identical with it, and finally merges into divineness. Such evolution of mind completes the cycle of evolution referred to above and is a goal of the human existence, present and future, irrespective of caste, creed, race, or nationality, and has been the ambitions of ancient idea and is so today from times immemorial. It is to this plan of evolution India owes her civilization, and everything of Indian culture owes its very existence. India, in spite of so many once laughed and foreign domination, still survives only perhaps to lead the world towards this goal and show the torch of spiritual illumination of those groping in darkness of the materialism and mammon worship through the exploitation of others. All all boastful talk of any ignorant, blinded with the material wealth and power of his for his so-called present-day civilization is simply a vain claim. Om Kaidai Sikra. The Hindu scriptures abound in references of cycles of the fourfold ages of Satyuga, Treta, Dwapar, and Kalyugas. These four ages run successively and recur over again, covering periods of time in the ratio of 4 3 4 अनुपात 3 अनुपात 2 परंत 1. Kali, the smallest of our four, covers a period of 4,32,000 years. Of our global Collective spiritual illumination rises to its maximum in the Satyuga, the apse of its minimum in the Kali Yuga. Thus time rolls on for 43 Arab 20 crore years of the earth covering full 1000 webs forming the craters one day. At the end of which the cosmic body dissolve and the craters night of equal length follows. Of the 1000 webs forming his one day, each comprising the period of the aforesaid 4 ages. The 51st web is running and is nearing the completion with the end of the present Kali Yuga. Of the Kali Yuga, 50,049th year has commenced from 22nd April 1948. बाबा क्या हिसाब लगा रखा है? Each wave begins with Satyuga and ends with Kali Yuga. According to the Hindu chronologist, first half of the creator's day is over. Om. This is discussion about the psychogenesis and spiritual evolution. Now, chapter 4th, idea of moksha. Chapter 4th is idea of moksha. Idea of moksha. 4th. Transmigration of soul. Moksha is the goal of every man. The word means liberation. Hinduism, Jainism, and Buddhism, in their attempt to solve the mystery of life after death, have established on the basis of the sound reasoning and scientific thinking of the singular philosophy of the transmigration of soul. The Westerners who have not yet been able to unveil the secrets of soul and its life after death naturally base their conviction on concrete proofs of perception and their actual demonstrations. They are slow to believe in anything that cannot be so demonstrated, but the idea of moksha is intimately connected with the idea of transmigration of soul, which implies the series of births and death following the one after of other and sequence of beginningless continuity of cause and effect. This cycle of birth and death has to be put a stop to, and the liberation of soul from the bondage of birth and death is called moksha. Moksha therefore means realization of God, who is the above birth and death, and his realization is nothing short of union with him, which is the same thing as realization of oneness with him. Phenomena of past life recollections are not very common, but we do come across such cases now and then, though they are very rare and infrequent. Much advertised case of one Shanti Devi of Delhi a few years ago serves as an instance. Till now, no serious attempts have been made on the scientific lines to make the proper study of such cases. The modern psychologist relies for his knowledge solely on the physiology, the brain. To him, brain is the cause and mind its effect, because he says that the slightest derangement of brain or the nervous disorder tells upon the working of mind and causes some sort of mental disturbance. That is no doubt true. Mental and intellectual faculties are so linked with the brain that for their proper working, sound brain is a necessity. Just as receiver of the radio machine must be in sound working order for catching the eternal waves of electricity and converting them into sound, and a slight derangement of its mechanism disturbs the reproduction of sound, but it does not imply that the electrical waves depend for their existence. No, on the receiver, which simply manifests their action through the mechanism, through its mechanism. So mind and intellect too are not products of brain, but have two independent existence, which survive the body after death and transmigrate with soul to a fresh life. According to the Indian psychologist, mind is also made up of a very fine substance, much finer than ether. Mind is a chief component of the astral body, which accompanies the soul on death to its future destination. The constitution of the subconscious mind is explained as follows. The fine substance of which chitta, the mind stuff, is formed possesses a receptive capacity for storing in the impressions of everything that a man perceives, does, or thinks. Impressions. Chitta is the comprehensive term used by the Indian psychologist, which includes the impressions of perceptions, interferences, passions, emotions, sentiments, and other aspects of mental functions. It is very appropriately translated as mind stuff. In analogy with ether, this stuff is also dominated as Chitakas. In analogy with the ether, this stuff is also dominated as Chittakas, psychic ether. Impression that are imprinted on Chittakas are never obliterated, and during the lifetime of the man can be revived again and again as memory as the occasion demands. But at the time of the death, the Chittakas too undergoes a change, bringing all the impressions gained during the whole span of life and in a nutshell within the scope of seed forms. And this seed body composed of vasanas is called Karan Sarir, causal body, causal astral body, which departs of the fluid built upon and evolved the Sukshma Sarir, subtle body, a fresh another body, a fresh and blood. The Karan Sarir is so called because of its potentiality of the making the impressions of the past lives stocked in it fluidify and web round in a fresh body and evolved in the next life mental and intellectual powers in furtherance of their development achieved through the series of previous births. Thus, a man goes on developing his faculties from birth to birth in his march towards the final goal of perfection. Om. The phenomenon of the transmigration of soul is thus a natural, simple, and reasonable one, sufficient to explain the many intricate problems of human psychology, otherwise not explainable by Western psychologists, such as the instinct, subconsciousness, differences of intellectual capacity of different persons, manifestation of unusually abnormally advanced powers of mind and intellect in certain children without their having received any previous training and similar other spontaneous phenomena usually met with. Now the question is sometimes asked if the impressions of past actions survive death and transmigration to a further birth, why it should not be possible to revive them to memory. The case of the recollection of past life are not the wanting, but such cases are of an extraordinary nature. It is also possible by the voluntary exertions to revive the recollection of the past life events. One can gain such knowledge by reading the impressions of past life by deep meditation. The impressions are always there. One has simply to unearth them by the practice of intense focusing of mind to them on them and bring them up to the level of consciousness, reviving them to memory. The impressions of past life are similar to those of the present life. They differ in degree of forgetfulness and not in kind. There are not lost of taking up new bodies through the transmigration or by lapse of time. Inherent desires in a man are the outgrowth of the stock of those impressions. See Patanjali's Yog Darsana, Sutra 3, 18, 4, 8 and 4, 9. संस्कार साक्षात्करणात् पूर्व जाति ज्ञानम. संस्कार साक्षात्करणात् पूर्व जाति ज्ञानम. पातंजल योग दर्शन का 3 और 18 में ये सूत्र है. कमिंग इन टू द कॉन्टेक्ट विद द इम्प्रेशन वन गेट्स नो नॉलेज ऑफ प्रीवियस बर्थ. पातंजल 3, 18. Coming into the contact with the impression, one gets the knowledge of previous births. तद विपाकान गुणान नेवा अभिव्यक्ति भीषणानाम. Patanjali 4:8. Following the impression and their fructification. Following the impression and their fructification, manifestation of desires ensure. जाति देश कालव्यम व्यवहायत नाम प्रत इसलिए संस्कार एकम रूपात. There is no discontinuity in them in spite of the lapse of life, surrounding and time, because of oneness of memory and the impressions. 4.9 passenger. By moksha is meant liberation from the vicious circle of the birth and death, which from the eternity are whirling a soul round. In fact, life is not worthy of its name because it is a series of limitation, the very nature of which pinches the soul and makes it hanker after something real. Sometimes something permanent beyond the pale of sensual pleasure and pains. Something not clouded with the gloomy lust desires which are never quenched and are never satiable. Real life is that for which one soul ever yearns with an incessant longing, thou knowing not where and how it is to be had, but still feels its existence with some inborn conviction as the tangible reality. Every man earns for it because immortality is the soul's very nature. Om. Now today's discourse is finished. ओम यही दिव्य दृष्टि हमें दीजे भगवान, ओ कण कण में निस दिन तुम्हारे ही दर्शन. लखूं नित्य सर्वत्र मूर्ति तुम्हारी, सुनु जड़ जगत से ये कीर्ति तुम्हारी. यही दिव्य दृष्टि हमें दीजे भगवान, हो कण कण में निज दिन तुम्हारे ही दर्शन. ओम तेरी शुभ सत्ता बिना हे प्रभु मंगल मूल, पत्ता तक हिलता नहीं, खिलता नहीं है फूल. रोम रोम में तुम रमे फिर क्या रहा बिछो, लेकिन तुम मिलते नहीं एक ऐसा संयोग. ओम असतो मा सद्गमया, तमतो मा ज्योतिर्गमया, मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमया. ओम शांति शांति शांति. ओम.